Hey guys, welcome back to another video. You guys might notice we're working with a little bit of a different background today, and that's because obviously, as the title says, I'm going to be showing you my January favorites, and I didn't really want a busy background to distract you, so I figure something a little plainer as such would be a lot better to showcase these plants. So I know the title says January favorites, but honestly, they're more so just plants that I've really been appreciating a lot in the last few weeks in terms of its growth, its resilience through winter, some of the new leaves it's been pushing out, sizing up, things like that. So not technically like my favorites, but just wanted to give them their little moment in the spotlight because I feel like they really earned it. So we're just gonna get started. I have 8 plants to show you today, and I feel like they're a good assortment of different kinds of plants. So the first one, I feel like I don't show a ton on this channel, or I really haven't really shown it a lot recently. I'm sorry guys. And that is my Alocasia cuprea. This one I grew from a corm. I got it from my friend Jing, and it has been a very slow progression of growth. I feel like it hasn't sized up as fast as I thought it would, but it's been good to me. We have had our ups and downs in terms of pests, in terms of root rot, in terms of, repots where it got really stressed. But I think overall, it's just kind of shown me that it's been happy with the conditions that I've been giving it as long as I maintain it. Don't forget to water. But yeah, she's really, really cute, holding on to quite a few leaves, and they're all kind of a good size. This is the newest one that just came out, so not like a massive size growth, and that's what I mean. It's been like a very slow progression. I know I've seen some people where they've sized up their Alocasia cupreas so fast, but that hasn't been the case for me. And I don't know if it's because I tend to not size up my vessel too big, and I like to use the longer pots for Alocasia rather than bigger, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I'm not mad at it. I kind of like that it's just been a slow growth, and it's really cute. I took a picture of her recently for Instagram. I'll pop in the photo here, and I just think she's so photogenic, super photogenic. Typically, I would say that this is the kind of plant in my collection where I would not mind it just being like a 1 or 2 leaf plant all the time, because then you could just kind of admire the leaves for what they are. But it's been kind of fun to see it like nice and bushy. I am getting close to cutting this guy off because he doesn't really want to be a part of the rest of the gang, but it's not yellowing or anything, so I kind of feel like I should just leave it. Also, there's a bunch of corms that have popped out of here. I'm not quite sure I'm gonna leave it or if I'm going to maybe pull them out and sell them or something. I have said before that I do like to pot several Alocasia in one pot just to make it bushy, but I'm not quite sure this is gonna be one of them. I certainly am aiming to do that on my scalprum, like a plant like my scalprum, but I feel like I might get overwhelmed if there were too many of these in one pot. So I think the next time that I go to repot this, I'll probably pull these 2 out, and I can almost guarantee there are a bunch of other corms in here, but it's essentially living in lechuza pond. There is a little bit of leca down at the bottom. I think it's been in here for like a year now, so she's probably due for a repot. I can kind of see her cataphyll is swelling, so I think that there's going to be another leaf coming, so I'll just wait until that comes out, and then I think we'll repot these, or we'll repot this together. But just wanted to give her little spotlight. Oh, also, you guys can't forget about the backs of the Alocasia cuprea. They're just as magical. They're so neat. And I don't know if you guys can tell right now, I feel like it's getting washed out with the background, but it's got like this halo. If you guys can see, it's like outlined in white, and it's so prominent in certain light. And I've just come to appreciate it so much. Yeah, this is a really cool one. And I just like can't believe there was a point where I was super like weirded out by this plant. I didn't want to have it at all. I was just like, I don't know why anybody would want this alocasia in their collection. And now I'm just like, I can't imagine my alocasia family without the cuprea. And especially since I grew this from like a little corm, there's definitely like some sentimental attachment or sentimental value. It was probably, I can't remember if I grew it from like an actual corm or if she gave it to me with a leaf like this big or something. But either way, it's kind of incredible that we started as something this small. And now we're here. So hopefully this year I can see some like really good size growth on this. I would love to see like a big leaf, like double this size on this plant, because I think that as it matures, it does get a lot creepier, but a lot cooler, and I'm ready for it. Oh, by the way, in terms of care conditions for that, I'm gonna try and remember to quickly go through that for each of the plants. So that one is living under a 24-watt Moneos light right now, literally living in my plant room, not in a greenhouse. I would say ambient, let's see what the humidity is in here. I'm gonna roll over. If you guys don't know what this is, I will link it in the description. It's a light temperature humidity reader from Daryl at Houseplant Journal, and I love this thing. I really like when I'm reconfiguring my plant room, when I'm reconfiguring things in my plant or in my living room, I like to know the foot candle readings just to compare to what it was before, or just kind of know what like my baseline is. So right now it's saying that the humidity is 36% in my plant room, and I believe it. It is drier than dry in this entire apartment. Like honestly, on a good day, my humidity like is maybe 40, 43, but that's on a good day. But like right now during the winter, especially when my heater is on all day long, it is just so dry. Okay. Oh, and then I give that one basically regular fertilizations every single week, diluted at 1/4 strength. I'm going back and forth between CalMag and TPS1 right now. And showed you it was in no drainage. What else? That's it. Oh, and I've been pretty good at like wiping this thing down and spraying it down every like 2 weeks or so, just because I just find alocasias are spider mite magnets. So yeah, be cautious of that if you are looking to get into the cuprea game. We have another alocasia on the list. I'm gonna take out this little ghost because I know he's gonna fall. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's gonna fall while I'm showing you guys this plant. So some of you might recognize it. I have shown this on my channel before, but it would have been much smaller. I got this one as a corm from my friend Amanda, who I will link in the description. I thought that this was an Alocasia heterophylla dragon's breath. That's actually what she told us it was, but it turns out it's an Alocasia corazon. Very similar, but definitely like the softer version of the heterophylla, like the less angry version, the nicer version. It's less, I would say less silver than the heterophylla dragon's breath. Actually, let me just pop in a photo of one here so you guys can kind of see the difference. I would say this one has like a more muted silver color, kind of like the silver sword has like that bluish tint, whereas the dragon's breath, it does have the bluish tint as well, but it's like much more silver. I would say that the heterophylla dragon's breath is narrower, and it has like a really, really sharp point down here, and even the lobes are really, really pointy. And I would say even like the edges of the leaf margin are a little bit more jagged, and yeah, jagged. So yeah, like I said, I would describe this as like the softer, more mild version of the heterophylla dragon's breath. So I actually still have this plant on my wish list. I would love it. I've always loved that plant since I saw it, but I'm actually really enjoying this one too. And you guys know that I've got a soft spot for the silver plants, but it's just been really fun to grow. It has been a slow burn, not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of alocasia, when you start them from a corm, it does take a long time to kind of see leaves that are gonna look what it's gonna look like in full maturity. But I'm glad that this is not one of those alocasias that just like constantly drop leaves. I think the most leaves I've had on this plant at one point was maybe 4 or even 5 leaves, but they were much smaller. So now that the leaves are getting bigger, whenever a new one comes out, the oldest one does drop off. But I'm happy to see some size growth. Like, she's looking like a proper Alocasia now. She's not so much a baby. I would say she's kind of like in her teenager phase now. In terms of the growing conditions and the substrate, so I've kind of finagled this little setup here. It's in a clear orchid pot, leca down at the bottom, pon up at the top with a good amount of perlite, I would say, and even some smaller bits of leca mixed in. And I don't really ever keep the water line really high. Ever since the roots grew out to the bottom, I just make sure that there's always water down here, and it keeps the plant nice and hydrated. Also living right here where my cuprea is, except it's on the shelf below it, so it's getting light from two 10-watt Barina bars. I could probably be giving it more light. Let me give you the foot candle reading right now. Oh my, I knew that was gonna happen. Oh no, that's too far. I can't bend down that low. Let me just shoot you guys the foot candle reading. Okay, actually that's quite a bit of light. So it's hovering at about 1,015 foot candles, which is it's actually pretty good. And I think that's why my I had my El Guapo, my smaller one there, next to this plant for a long time, and it got so bleached. I guess I underestimate the strength of those Barinas sometimes, especially when you combine them. So anyway, if you're looking for like a nice, dainty, polite, silvery Alocasia, I would definitely recommend this one. I don't know how easy it is to find. I feel like I've seen this for sale once somewhere before, but not as common as I've seen the Heterophylla Dragon's Breath, surprisingly. But I do like how it is reminiscent of the Dragon's Breath in that it has like that nice dark green sunken in venation, and again has that silvery leaf. So yeah, I'm excited to see how much this one grows. Definitely not as excited as I am for like something like my Scalprum or my cuprea, but she is a nice little addition, nice little contrast to the Alocasia collection. Honestly, if it was up to me, I would have all of my Alocasia growing in a greenhouse. I just find that they grow so much faster in greenhouses, but don't really have that luxury right now. And I'm just trying to keep it as happy and healthy as possible outside of a greenhouse in such low humidity. But she's had no problem growing out here in this rough terrain. I'm just kind of checking for spider mites because I always kind of assume that my Alocasia are gonna have some kind of pest or something, but I feel like I've been so good about wiping my leaves down. I've said this in other videos where the reason why I love this hobby so much, well, one of the many reasons, is that you can hyperfixate on like a certain thing at any given point. So like one week I'll be just so focused on like making sure that all of my pots that have crazy amounts of algae are repotted, or the next week I'll be obsessed with making sure my poles are really hydrated, they're filled. The next week I'm obsessed with just wiping down all my leaves. And so I'm in that phase right now where like if I have any opportunity to wipe a leaf down, I will. And to the point where I was just like, okay, I have nothing else to wipe down and I just need to stop touching them because I'm probably gonna do more harm than good if I keep messing with them. Either way, it's really, really pretty. I'm gonna throw in a photo of what it looks like under the light. It looks way more silvery under light. I feel like it wasn't really doing it justice in front of this light for whatever reason. But yeah, she's been good to me. Okay, this one's very, very exciting. So this one was labeled as a Forgetii X, but it's actually a Forgetii crossed with a red crystallinum. And you can see the red crystallinum in its emergent leaf. So when I acquired it, this was the largest leaf on it. I think it was this one. Or maybe it was this one. Oh yeah, it was this guy. This was the first leaf that I grew. and then this one, and this one. So I do think that I'm going to have a bit of a size jump with this leaf because it's much bigger than this leaf was when it was emerging, so that's really exciting. And I love that you can actually see that red in the hardened off leaf. Maybe you can't really see it that much on camera, but you can tell ever so slightly that the tip of the venation has the red. And if you guys didn't know, the red venation in a red crystallinum, it's a recessive gene, it's not a dominant gene. So even if you like selfed a red crystal, it's not even guaranteed that like it's gonna look like a red crystal. Like some might not even have any red in it at all. So when people buy seeds of a red crystallinum, like a selfed red crystallinum, like they're kind of surprised that like it just ends up looking like a crystallinum. But this one really took the red crystal genes, and which is actually quite surprising considering the red crystal was the pollen parent and not the mother plant. But I knew when I opened this in our unboxing, I already knew this was gonna be one of my favorites that came out of that batch. I don't know why. When this leaf was out, like, I don't know, to me that doesn't really look like a red crystal, like it wouldn't have red crystal, but for some reason I just knew it had red crystal, and I knew it was gonna be a really nice plant. And yeah, she's definitely showing off. So it's still in the pot that I've repotted this twice now. This is the second up pot since I've had it, and it's in my typical Anthurium mix. A lot of you guys probably know what that is already. It's the tree fern fiber, soil, perlite, worm castings, biochar, fir bark. Yeah, that's it. My Anthurium seem to be really liking it. It's just I've had a little bit of an issue with tree fern fiber and the tree fern fiber mix when it's not getting enough light, but this one's growing in my tent right now. And these were supposed to come out of the tent a long time ago, but I'm just not feeling confident about it. I've had so many rehab Anthuriums come off of that shelf during the winter time. My Carla Bevep, my Forgetii Carla, like those two roots rotted. It's very scary times over here right now, and this is just not one that I'm willing to risk losing, especially since I haven't even given Alice a cutting yet. So yeah, we want to keep this one nice and safe and tucked in. So yeah, she's getting a good amount of light in here, and I will give you that foot candle reading now. Kind of surprising actually, it's not getting that much light compared to over here. So this is actually brighter than where it is in my tent. It's getting about 430 foot candles of light right now, which I actually feel is quite adequate for Anthurium in terms of not bleaching them. I do have a few Anthurium in there that are much closer to the light that have bleached, and so I'm still trying to figure out the best configuration for the lights in the tent, because it seems like there's one shelf where it's like the best light for Anthurium, and then some of them are a little bit too close, some of them are a little too far, so we're still working out the kinks in there. I honestly, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry, I'm so TMI on this channel. I'm like not used to this, you know, these, and I'm a little bit self-conscious about them, not gonna lie. So, okay, I never thought I'd see the day where my Ace of Spades would make it to a favorites video. I just didn't, because I've struggled so much with this. I don't know why it hates me. I got this one from Amanda as well, and she has also told me of some of the woes that she's had with her Ace of Spades, but it seems like the issues that we have are completely different and not related at all. And so I can't really chalk it up to like it's the specimen or it's a fungal thing, because I think if I can remember correctly, the issue that she was having was a very fungal thing, and I don't see those presenting on this plant really. The issues that I have with this is that it just doesn't like to hold on to leaves. They just yellow so fast. Not only that, the stem kept rotting, the roots kept rotting. I tried maybe like 3 different configurations for this plant in terms of the substrate, drainage holes, no drainage holes. So now it's finally living pretty happily in my Anthurium mix and very heavy on the tree fern fiber. So I feel like this is the first leaf where it like actually looks like an ace, and I'm so happy. This is all I wanted. I don't need a nice big beautiful ace. I just want anything like this where like I could tell it's an ace, because I was working with leaves like this for so long. By the way, these are the leaves that were on it when it was like really sad. This leaf and this leaf were this really sad ones. I repotted it when this leaf came out, and obviously this grew in this substrate, and the roots are really happy and healthy. I'm not sure if this is one that will see the outside of a greenhouse anytime soon. I feel like I'm not super confident with her growth so far. I would like to see this stem get a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger, a little stronger before I even think about growing her in ambient conditions. And she has another leaf on the way. I have been eyeing this thing because it looked like it was gonna get stuck. I've had a few of my plants get stuck now, and so I've just been like keeping an eye on it, and I'm just gonna push it out because I'm scared the petal is gonna snap. But so excited to see another leaf, and if it's bigger than this one, I'm gonna be so juiced. I do think that she's gonna be ready for a repot soon, because I wanna get this one nice and like not big, but I want to see a nice big juicy root system. I feel like I've just struggled. I don't know, how long have I had this now? Like 2 years or something? I've had this plant for so long, you guys. This is one of the first plants that I ever got from Amanda, and it's still so tiny. But you know, we're taking it nice and slow. I have never once given up on this plant. I feel like I've always just tried to see what works for it. And so now, living in this substrate, still in a cover pot, so it's kind of no drainage, but not really. Also living in the tent, it was right next to, well, maybe not right next to, let me give you that foot candle reading right now. So this one is even getting less light than my Forgetii red crystal. This one is getting about 298 to 315 foot candles. So not a ton, but I do think that it's not minding it, because this leaf is nice and dark. It developed perfectly fine. I'm still like trying to figure out like what the limits are for Anthurium in terms of how much light they can take and how little light they can take. I feel like I have definitely been learning in the plant, like on the plant shelf in the living room, like what the limits are for sure. So if I can stay at least above 250 foot candles, I feel like you're safe, but that's kind of on the lower end. I'm really liking how some of my Anthurium are growing under 400 to 500 foot candles of light. So if I can aim to have that for all of my Anthurium, that would be great. I know it's probably not a realistic goal considering so many of them are living outside of a greenhouse, but at least I can control the ones in here while they fit. But oh gosh, I just love this plant so much. This is one of those Anthuriums that I feel will always have that just like magic about it. I've always been so intrigued by it. The leaf color, the sheen, that sort of like iridescent bluish color, and then of course the iconic little burgundy sinus. And yeah, emergent leaves are really magical as well. And I like that this one is really bumpy, very, very bolete and pebbly and yummy. So I think 2024 is gonna be the year for my ace. I would love to grow this to flowering size. I don't know if I would hybridize it. I think I would love to self it if I could, but that's not even in the cards for me, I think, for this year. I don't even think it'll reach flowering size this year. And if it does, I'm not even sure I'd want to mother it right away. I maybe would just collect pollen, just because, you know, she hasn't always been like the strongest plant, and I just want to see her happy. As we speak about ace, I had to show you guys the prop that I took from it ages ago has finally woken up. And I'm not going to open it, but it has two growth points, so you can see 2 leaves. Hello? Oh, there. You can see 2 leaves. Those are 2 totally separate growth points. I'm not sure if I'm going to be growing it out a little bit and separating them, but I will definitely have the babies for sale through Lauren at some point, probably in her live sale. Right now it's rootless. The ace loves to push out leaves before roots, and right now it's just in fluval stratum, so I'm not really down to sell this cutting until I can see some roots on it. So I might be hanging on to this for a little while longer. This one's gonna be pretty random, but I feel like it's finally time to give, she's thirsty already, I just watered this. It's time to give her her moment. The Philodendron Rio. I have been saying for a while now that I've been wanting to grow this out as a full pot. I've been waiting for some of these secondary growth points up at the base to grow out, and I feel like we are here. We have arrived. Sorry, give me 1 second. Hold please. There's so many growth points that they're all getting tangled, and I would like for them to not be tangled if possible. Okay. Whew. Okay, so Philodendron Rio. This one isn't pushing out like the most spectacular Rio leaves, but she is a Rio and she's very, very cute. Some of them are way more like narrow and sharp and white, like these leaves. And then you have some that are just very mild, like there was one recently where I was like, are you even a Rio? Where are you? Come out, come out. Oh, here you are. This one. I thought I was gonna have to chop this vine back because it was like losing so much of the white, but it kind of looks like it's starting to come back a little bit more, so we're just gonna see how it goes. But yeah, so many growth points have activated now at the top, and she's finally trailing. Doesn't have like the cutest growth pattern right now, but we're gonna give it time. There are still more growth points starting, so like if you guys can see, there's like a gap, like an empty gap right here. But we've got this little guy, which is a pretty cute stem, like a pretty cute vine that should eventually fill in right here. And I do think I'm gonna be upsizing this pretty soon because I want to see some more growth on it. It's just growing in no drainage right now. Leca down at the bottom, perlite heavy pond at the top, living in my living room, bottom shelf. But I think I'm gonna be moving this somewhere different so that I can showcase the trailing of it now. I'll throw in the foot candle reading in the corner because I don't feel like walking there right now. Fertilization, again, same thing every week. This is always growing. There's really no time where it goes dormant. So fertilizing every week, quarter strength, going back and forth between CalMag and TPS1. With all the purging that I've done, with all of the sort of ups and downs that I've gone through with a lot of my trailing philodendron, I'm not really surprised that this one has kind of survived the multiple rounds of purging over the last few years because I don't know, I think that this one, the Rio, and the, what's that other one? The Gabby, like a real true yummy Gabby. I feel like those two are like some of the best trailing philodendron in terms of like this kind of variegation. I got tired of the Brazil really fast. Oh, which other one did I have? Was it the silver stripe? It was something else. There was another one that I had where I got a little bit bored of it and I ended up selling it. But I don't know, I feel like this one is interesting enough that like I would probably keep it around for a long time. And I can't wait for it to be like a nice big trailing thing. I think eventually when it gets to that point where it's nice and big, I'd love to see this in like a Wally Grow planter or something. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I am happy with the growth so far, and I'm pretty sure by the time we hit summer, she's probably gonna be down here. And I'm not really trimming this back probably as often as I should be, but I like that the growth has been pretty compact. Like you can see on this one stem like how tight all the leaves are. They haven't had like a really, really long internode space like some of the Brazils that I've grown, but that could change obviously in maturity. So just keeping an eye on it so far. Kind of good and bad news with this next one I'm gonna show you, and some of you guys might not even be surprised to see it. My Monstera esqueleto has been a favorite, like a legitimate favorite around here for months now. I just feel like she's grown up so much in the last year. She's really like matured and shown how like resilient that she could be. But I said sad news because she's now living on the top of my plant room. Why do I keep calling it plant room? The top of my living room shelf. I do have grow lights up there for the winter, but I don't feel like it's really enough. And so I find that some philodendron and monstera tend to do this, where they like get stuck in the sheath, they kind of rot in the sheath, they don't fully develop green just because of a lack of photosynthesis. So I think, I don't know, I might move this back into my plant room for the remainder of winter just because I don't want to stunt her growth anymore. Because although I am very stressed in some departments about where some plants are gonna go once they get bigger, I don't know why, but this one is not one that I'm super stressed about. I'm like so ready to see some like body-sized leaves. And the nice thing is like the esqueleto sizes up so fast that even if it gets to a point where it's so large that I can't maintain it anymore, I can always chop it back and start over and know that like I can still enjoy these nice big leaves a lot sooner than some monstera like to mature. Not dropping any names. She's on a pole, not a very large one, but on a pole nonetheless. She's fully attached, although I'm not seeing a lot of roots in here, but I know she's attached because she's like fully climbing it without the help of tape or Hugo's Amazing Tape or Velcro. Living in no drainage in my regular aeroid mix. There's no tree fern fiber in this one. I only use tree fern fiber for my Anthurium right now. I do try and shower this one pretty regularly, not just to keep pests away, but to keep the pole nice and wet. This one doesn't push out EFN. I can't even think, do monsters push out EFN? No. I think it's just Philodendron, Alocasia, and there's another genus of plant that pushes out EFN. But I'm trying to look. I've had some weird fungally things going on in the living room, and I'm kind of seeing like a weird sort of patterny mark on the back of this one specific leaf that I don't really recognize. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but that's slightly concerning to me. But let's all just focus on this leaf right here, huh? Look at her, she's so beautiful. I honestly didn't think that I was going to enjoy this plant as much as I do. I thought that it would be one that I, for one, would have a hard time sizing up. I didn't know that they actually size up so fast. Two, I didn't know that once it did size up that I would be still so enamored by it, even seeing, because it's really not gonna change much after this point. Like, it's just gonna look like this, but the leaves are just gonna be so much bigger. So in terms of like the physical characteristics of them changing and being like sort of excited and anticipating what that's gonna look like we're already there, but I'm still just like, no, I want it bigger, I want it larger, I want it to take over the whole room. This might be one of the plants, one of the very rare plants that I allow to just kind of grow out of control. Maybe I don't like to have plants on the floor, but I might make an exception for this one because I like it so much. I don't plan on repotting it until it reaches the top of this pole because I want to get it onto a much thicker pole. The stem is still pretty thin. It's probably only like that thick. So it's not like it's like desperate for a thicker pole, but I just think that it would probably be better for it because we can fit some more roots in there. I'm really not seeing a ton of roots in here. I do see one kind of like snaking down this way, but there's not as many as I thought there would be for as many aerial roots as it pushes out. Anywho, I'm just like talking to myself now. But yeah, this one is an actual favorite, not just one that I'm appreciating right now. It's too bad that this new leaf got stunted and it's probably gonna look like shite, But the good thing is it grows so fast that I'm probably gonna have a new leaf probably in the next 2 weeks. The last two are Hoya. I'm just gonna oh, I have to go downstairs. Oh my god, okay, let's do this one first because it's right in front of me. This one's no surprise. She's made a few, I feel like she's made a few favorites lists over the time that I've had this plant, but this is my Hoya Nicholsoniae New Guinea Ghost. Yeah, she's doing great. Why is she so limp? She's doing great. Why is she so soft? I think, oh god, please don't be root rot. You guys, I've had so much trouble in Hoya land. I don't know why. I've rotted so many of my Hoyas. And I'm actually looking at these roots and I'm not really loving it. They look a little slimy. And yeah, the leaves are normally a little bit thicker. Oh my god, I'm nervous. Should we repot it in this video? Do you guys want to see what's going on? I mean, I know that like, she's been in the same, sorry, talking to myself again. She's been in the same spot getting, what's the foot candle reading? I can almost guarantee you that those roots are rotted, and I would be so extremely mentally unwell if I lost that plant. Okay, she's getting like 650 foot candles of light, which isn't a lot, but it's not bad. And some of them are already like sun stressing at the top. So it's not a light thing. Anyway, so Hoya New Guinea Ghost, not looking like the happiest right now, but look at how many leaves she has. Like, she has grown so much. I also grew this one from, I think it was like a 2 or 3 leaf cutting. Got it from my friend Jing. The leaves are so nice and silvery. This used to be apparently like a very expensive plant back in the day when prices were like at its peak, but now you can get them super dirt cheap. And if I could recommend any Hoya to get this one. I do think that there are some cuttings that are going to be more stubborn than others, only because it's just like a night and day difference that I had between my first cutting and this one. The first cutting wouldn't root, wouldn't push out any growth, wouldn't do anything until it finally died. This one got it as a little bit of a bigger plant, but from the same exact specimen, and she rooted just fine, and now she's this big bushy thing. Generally an easy going Hoya. I have not once chopped this thing. She probably could be chopped, but this is one of those plants where I'm like, that would be such a nice heirloom plant. Like if you just let it get nice and big. I feel like there are only 2 plants in my Hoya collection that I would make an exception for putting on like a massive trellis, and that would be this one and my Hoya obovata. But oh gosh, you guys, I'm shooketh. I'm shook looking at these wrinkly leaves. I'm like, something is wrong with you, because there's water in here. There is water, so I know it's not dehydrated. So I don't know if I'm gonna repot it on camera because it's probably gonna give me a lot of anxiety, but my plan is to do the same exact thing that I did with my Callistophila when all the roots rotted. I just plucked it out, I left it on the trellis, and I plopped it in water. And I rerooted it that way, and it was totally fine. So that's gonna be my plan with this. I might chop back a few of the vines. Like there's like little stragglers like this that are really long that probably could be sacrificed. A sun-stressed New Guinea Ghost is so precious. Like it turns purple. You can kind of see some of the freckles on the top leaves that are a lot closer to the grow light. But I've always kind of been on the fence of whether I wanted a sun-stressed New Guinea Ghost or if I wanted to keep it silver like this. But yeah, it's kind of nice that now that I have not been in control of who gets sun-stressed at the top, to have a little bit of a mix of both. It's also living on Lauren's acrylic trellis. Probably could use a larger one at this point. She's just holding on for dear life. But wanted to showcase it just because I have downsized my Hoya collection by quite a bit. When I found out Archie was born, he is definitely not born yet. When I found out I was pregnant, basically, I knew that I was gonna have to downsize. I knew that something had to give in terms of space, in terms of time. And the first thing that I went to was like my Hoyas. I was like, I think that's the first genus I'm going to tackle. And I have probably, I don't have very many Hoya left, and I'm even contemplating getting rid of more. Just don't know if I'm gonna regret it. This will not be one of them. I think this is a Hoya that I will hold on to for as long as it'll have me. Kind of looks like it's on its deathbed right now. It's a little deceiving because you can't see it up close, but like she should be way more firm than this. Like, I mean, some of them are still kind of firm. Like this one, see how it's like, well, even that's kind of soft, but it definitely should not be floppy like this. Anywho, that was supposed to be a favorites, or I'm supposed to show you plants that are doing well, and then pulled out a nasty one. Okay, now I'm gonna grab the last guy. Now I know for sure I don't show this one very often on this channel, and it's kind of been one of those Hoyas that have gone under the radar. It was living, oh, by the way, this is a Hoya Eversherii. This one was living in my hallway for a really long time, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was waiting for it to die. I didn't have the heart to unalive it myself, but it just wasn't growing the way that I thought it would. It didn't grow as nice as when my friend Erin was growing it, because that's who I got it from. If this fungus gnat doesn't leave me alone, we're gonna have problems. I just kept getting long tendril guys like this. Like I'd grow like one leaf and then it would grow a tendril and then another leaf. And so honestly, I just kept chopping it back. So like whenever I'd get one this long, I would just chop it. And I just kept chopping it. I just kept chopping it and chopping it and chopping it. And then all of these grew. And it's definitely looking a lot better now. I'm surprised that it didn't die in the hallway, considering it was getting like 10-foot candles of light. But now that she looks nice and proper, it's living on my living room shelf, getting a lot more light now. But I just like how, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like the Ficus alii. And I really, really love my Ficus alii. Like the leaves are pretty thick and rigid. They grow in pairs of 2, so they're like little buddies. But it just looks really cool as like a big plant like this. I'm hoping I can get some more length on it, but it just tends to do this. So the reason that I moved it out of the hallway was, 1, I noticed one day that like, oh, it's actually doing quite well. And then 2, I noticed one day my husband walked through the hallway and he had to kind of like duck under one of these because it was like jutting straight out, but I'm so short that I just would walk right under it. So it wasn't an issue for me. But now I just feel like she looks so cool. But it's a great accent to the shelf, and it brings a lot of like dimension, it brings a lot of character kind of dispersed in between the Anthurium. But I've been kind of moving this around between my Anthurium shelf and my, you guys know that little wall that I have with the clear shelves? I've been kind of moving it back and forth just to see where it looks better, but yeah, she's grown so much, and I really appreciate her for kind of sticking through like my neglecting it and basically trying to kill it. She clearly showed me who is boss. Growing in pond, in no drainage, very algae ridden. I need to repot this soon. I can't even see the roots at this point. Actually, I can see some, and it does look like it's pretty rooted in here, so maybe we'll give this one some attention sometime soon, but that day is not gonna be today. All right, so that's all that I have for you guys. Honestly, I could show you way more. Like I have a few more plants in my collection right now where I'm just like, oh, you're growing so cute. But I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter since it's a Wednesday upload. And we're still in the January struggle. I talked about this in my week of that's gonna go up after this. No, my week of that went up on Saturday. Yeah, January is just not very kind to YouTube creators. Like there's essentially no budget from companies that are, you know, throwing ads up on YouTube. And so even though your views are like higher, you're getting paid nothing. So wanted to keep this one shorter. I think the next time I'll do a favorites video is maybe in spring, like the springtime. Maybe we'll do one before Archie's born. By the way, I'm due June 1st, so maybe we'll do one in May or something. And hopefully I have some more plants to show you that are doing well. Everybody say a prayer for my Hoya New Guinea ghost. I'm going to handle that off camera. Am I gonna handle it off camera? Yeah, I'm gonna handle it off camera. I feel like we need to be alone together to get through whatever I'm gonna uncover in the substrate. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these plants. Thank you for hanging out with me for a quick Wednesday upload. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one.